Now, the Young Turks proudly present a naked look at the party of family values, where GOP stands for and right to life takes a backseat to right to licentiousness. Republican Sexcapades, where real family values don't have a prayer. Republican Sexcapades. Hide the altar, boys, and cover the kiddies' ears. Here's today's edition of Republican Sexcapades with Cliff Schechter.
Oh, yeah. Cliff Dog, what's up, man? How you doing?
My friend, how about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. All right, more Republican Sexcapades today. Fun for everybody. As always, it's Florida. What's happening in Florida?
Oh, yeah, things just have a way of happening in Florida. Florida's a little bit behind the times. They missed the whole banning gay marriage craze in 2004. So they figured, what the hell, they'll get around to it in 2008, amending the Constitution. And a great column by Palm Beach Post writer Frank, I think it's pronounced Serabino, who wrote a really sarcastic column about how ridiculous the whole thing is. To begin with, Giuliani, which I'm not sure the polls still show this, but I guess when he wrote this, the polls are showing Giuliani was leading in Florida. So the Republican voters were choosing Rudy Giuliani, who also were pushing this gay marriage ban, a guy, you know, who gives Liz Taylor a run for her money in marriages. And secondly, you've got Rush Limbaugh there, and as we know, he likes marriage a lot. He's done it about 3 or 4 times. But finally, we have the governor, Charlie Crist, and this columnist almost seems to come pretty close to outing him in this article. He talks about how he had one marriage that lasted for 6 months, can't seem to land a steady girlfriend, and goes into the fact that, he's really not pushing the issue now, even though, of course, as Republicans do, to get elected in 2006, he had phone calls made to people saying that he would support a constitutional amendment to ban, to define marriages between a man and a woman, and, he signed a petition supporting a same-sex marriage ban when he was running for office, yada, yada, yada. The usual story.
I think you're being a little unfair to the good people of Florida, especially the Republicans. They might want to ban gay marriage because they understand what it's done to their own marriages. I mean, if there weren't gay folks around, you think Rush Limbaugh would have been married 3 or 4 times? No, it would have been just once. He wouldn't, And Rudy Giuliani, who's still leading in Florida, not by the 18 points that he was leading by at the time of that article, but he's still leading. You think he would have gotten married 3 times, and to his cousin, and to his mistress, and all that stuff? If it weren't for gay folks, obviously it's the gay people that are ruining their marriage, and that's why they need to pass that amendment, so they can stay loyal to their one wife.
It is a really good point. In fact, from what I hear, it was really just all the gays throughout New York that actually were calling in the NYPD to take Judy Nathan around. And for that, I really blame the homosexual community.
Well, look, let's be a little bit more fair here, Cliff. It's possible that they're going, married, gay sex, married, gay sex, married. And so maybe it is the gay sex that's ruining their marriages. We don't know. We don't know with these Republicans. I mean, if you take the stories, all the stories we've ever run out of Florida and Republicans there, you'd make a compelling case for marriage, gay sex, marriage, gay sex. So.
That's a good point. And I feel compelled to also defend Rush Limbaugh because, remember, he couldn't go to Nam because of an anal cyst. And I have to feel like that very same anal cyst has given him so much trouble in each of his marriages. So, let's be fair. I mean, it's tough to stay married once, twice, 3 times when you're suffering from such pain around the anus. And we'll get to that guy in a little bit. But
there's the anus.
Yeah, I love it. You guys have that.
Yeah.
And the important thing that we should bring up here is we talked about this on an earlier version of Republican Sexcapades, which is Charlie Crist has already been outed. It was about 2 years ago when the Broward Post there, I guess it is. I mean, respectable newspapers talked about a 21-year-old GOP staffer who was pretty much going around and telling people that he was involved in let's call it coital relations with now Governor Crist. And it had been verified by a number of sources such that the newspaper ran with it. This is a guy that worked for Crist, worked for Catherine Harris, that other wonderful, wonderful person. So, again, Crist used this thing to get elected, pushed it then, and now suddenly the train's rolling with all the crazies, and he wants to suddenly, because now he knows if this thing comes up, there may be a little more scrutiny into his personal life.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are a number of charges against Crist, and I have a little mixed feelings because he has backed away from that. I mean, he's not supporting this amendment, and he says, look, I got better things to do. And he's been a reasonable governor of Florida as far as I can see, certainly as far as a Republican goes. But at the same time, you're right. He used it to win elections, and of course they're going to use this constitutional amendment against gay marriage to try to win the 2008 elections for whoever the Republican candidates are. So, they don't get to live in that glass house and then throw that stone and then walk away and go, oh, no, okay. No, I'm not going to say anything about gay people anymore, now that you might have found out about a couple of my lovers.
Right, and I'll also say, I agree with you. I think Crist has become more reasonable. But at the same time, instead of just saying, well, he actually used the term, it doesn't move me. It didn't have me at hello, or I'm not sure what he was trying to get at there about the amendment. So, in other words, he's not going to do anything to push it. But, he could have actually been courageous and said, I was wrong to run on it in 2006. I've learned, and I'm against it.
That's true. No, you're right.
And then I might be I might have even more sympathy for him.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm always amused by the word staff. I know I'm a kid, I'm a 13-year-old, but when he fools around with his staff and his male staff, okay, all right. No. Okay.
Is he playing with his staff again?
Apparently
okay,
so.
sorry.
Apparently so. All right, so now we go to someone who's not really a Republican, obviously, but does believe in family values. In fact, she's written a book about family values. Who is it, Cliff?
Well, we just going to talk about Lynn Spears and her book, Pop Culture Mom, A Real Story of Fame in a Tabloid World. What makes this one such a special for Republican Sexcapades is the company that she's dealing with here. If you're just writing a book on parenthood, it might be a little bit laughable, what's going on. I mean, she's got the 16-year-old who couldn't wait for a sweet 16 to get knocked up. We all know about Britney's life, the Federline, the kids, everything. But in this case, she was going to lecture us all about proper parenting through a very Christian conservative publishing company, Thomas Nelson. And we could talk about who some of the people are they've published books for. So they publish Christian books. And that was the point. And to me, the funniest part, of course, is they said originally they were going to not do the book, but now they're pushing forward with it. And their response, being the good Christians that they are, they wouldn't have this response, mind you, if it probably were poorer Americans or minorities who got into this kind of trouble. But hey, it's someone who could sell books for them. It's a rich woman, so that's a good thing. So their response to this is that now Lynn's remarkable story will provide a window into the real life world of fame and worldly success, including the terrible toll it extracts from those who aspire to it. That's first, but it gets better than that. Though the book has been delayed, we believe God is at work. Yes, Jank, God was involved in apparently the pregnancy. He works in mysterious ways, I'll tell you that.
Well, maybe we got another virginal birth here. I mean, Jamie Lynn Spears at 16. If God was involved, I remember the last time God was involved in a birth. Cliff, we also have a tape of them here. They sent in a little comment to us about what they're going to do with Lynn Spears' book.
Go ahead, girl.
They said, "Go ahead, girl."
Yeah. I would have thought if God were involved, He might have helped them come to some sort of a good choice. But apparently, you're right. It is a virginal birth, so apparently, this may be the second coming. And
I think the Spears have come a lot, actually, if you ask me. Maybe a little too often.
Yeah, I thought if Guy was involved, it maybe was just, a pinprick in a condom. But he's working in much more interesting ways here. And finally, the company, Thomas Nelson, said the story is still being written, and we're confident in his, capital H, the big guy, his ability to turn ashes into beauty. Which would ask one, if he could turn ashes into beauty, what happened to Federline? I don't know. That's just my question.
And these are the same guys who published books by James Dobson and our old friend Oral Roberts.
Go over there and touch it.
Et cetera, et cetera. And
Gail Haggard, as we know.
Oh, Ted Haggard.
Very Christian. Ralph Reed, the guy who makes money off of the forced abortions in the Marianas Islands. The whole Christian crew.
I mean, it's a veritable who's who list of Republican sexcapade alumni,
Violators.
if you will. Alumni. And no, look, finally, here's the real thing about the Lynn Spears book. I mean, she's writing a book about Christian, upbringing and how you raise kids in the Christian way. And her one daughter is Britney Spears, enough said, and her other daughter just got pregnant at 16. I mean, really, the nerve of these people. You nailed it exactly right earlier, Cliff. They're going to lecture us on how to raise kids the Christian way? I mean, if this is the Christian way, I'm going to have to say, no, thank you. I got no interest in that.
Yeah, I'm going the pagan way, if that's the Christian way, because that's why I did bring up the story, because this book was written at some point where they actually thought maybe this woman would have the credibility to do it, to lecture the rest of us about how Christian parenting was the way to go, and if we'd only, raise our kids Christian, then everything would turn out okay. Apparently, that's not quite how it works.
If you ask me, it's just downright embarrassing. I mean, I'm embarrassed for them. Seriously, go away. I mean, it's crazy to write this book. You're just making an absolute fool of yourself. All right, well...
Yeah, she should change the topic, producing more kids in a Christian world or something of that sort. Find a way to roll with the punches here.
No, look, the actual title of the book would be, look, I tried to raise them as good Christians, and it turned out they were sluts. So, my daughters who don't wear panties and apparently don't wear any clothes because they start having sex at 14. Because both their daughters started having sex at 14. Oh, come on! You got to stop writing this book. You can't publish it. I mean, it's just the most embarrassing thing I ever heard in my life. It's kind of uncomfortable to even look at.
I know. Subtitle being perhaps we should have tried sex education. All that time in Bible class, they weren't learning the birds and the bees, and. Okay. Well, there you go. There's the argument for abstinence right there.
All right, we got to go. But you know what? I found a third title for the book: How to Raise Christian Sluts. Okay, because that's.
I like it, Jake.
Because that's what Lynn Spears has done. Let's get real. And I'm not using slut in a bad way. I don't think it's a derogatory word. God bless. Go forward. But don't come telling me about how I'm going to raise my kids when you screwed your kids up entirely. All right, Cliff Schechter from BraveNewFilms.org. Pleasure as always. That's our version of Republican Sexcapades. We'll see you next time.